security analyst Adib Saani, who has more insight into all of these that's happening and can provide us with some analysis on this. First of all, the police is once more clashing with civilians, and it's not quite a good picture. What's your reading into all of these incidents that we are seeing up north?
Well, I mean, the area this incident happened is not far from where I stay, in Tamale. From Lamashegu, you get to Lamakra before you get to Zubeli, where I actually stay. I've had the opportunity to speak with some few people on the ground, and it is very much in line with what Martina said. People are angry, the chiefs are angry, and everybody's anxiously waiting to see what would become of the investigation. But it's important also we put some few issues into perspective. There's always a tendency of officers who stay to new areas they've never been before, areas before where they actually come from, and not understanding the norms, the way of life of the people in that regard. For example, we are a people that hold in high esteem our chiefs, okay? And so the police might not appreciate that fact, and a criminal would, let's say, for example, like it happened in the case of the Yanas Palace, someone would run into a chief's palace. You would expect that you would wait outside and the chief would hand over the suspect to you. But for you to chase the person into the chief's palace is a great deal of disrespect, so far as our values is concerned.
Adib Saani, I'm sorry I would have to cut in at this point, but we understand that the law is not a respecter of persons. That's what the law says.
No, it's no respecter of persons, but you have to take into consideration the cultural setting in which you find yourself. Because, mind you, there's absolutely no way the police can do their work without these people. Most of the intelligence they get, most of the tip-offs are from the people. That is why it's important to engender your relationship with the locals based on mutual trust and respect. So collaboratively, you can improve security in the area. But when you have people in that area feeling that you are strangers, you are not representing their interests, you are disrespecting them, trust me, you cannot operate under such circumstances. Yesterday, I listened to the divisional police commander who categorically said that, look, the mob was after them. It is the chief who harbored them, and they even had to call the FPU to come rescue them. So you can imagine, if the chief was like the other individuals there, what would have become of the situation? So I think it's important they harness that relationship with the locals, so collaboratively they will be able to work together.
At least the harm is done. Are there any immediate remedial measures that could be pursued by the Ghana Police Service to de-escalate the tension there?
Absolutely. I've spoken with people on the ground, and one word is common on their lips: justice, justice, justice. And the actions of the Ghana Police Service in coming out with the information on the interdiction, I think, is one giant step in the right direction. But it doesn't end there. The investigation has to be quick because most of the facts that can be established doesn't have to take months. It can take hours. It has to be transparent. And hopefully, we don't end up with another case similar to the Zongo guys who were killed somewhere near Kumasi. In the end, money was paid to the families, and I don't want to believe it will be business as usual this time around. Ejura, almost the same thing happened. In the end, monies were paid, and we think that is it. I'm hoping that this time around, if they find some level of culpability, the officers will be able to face the full rigors of the law. So at least it serves two purposes. One, it will send a clear message to officers to the effect that the uniform doesn't grant you invincibility, and that if you do the wrong thing, you'll be held to account. And the same thing would be applied to their other colleagues who would learn lessons. On the other hand, the population would also trust the process and feel that, yes, indeed, justice will be served. So we charter a new course so far as that police-civil relations is concerned. If not, we would have situations when a police officer would go into a certain area to effect arrest, and the people might come out to protect the criminal against even the police officer. So I think the investigation is key, and hoping that going forward we take a closer look at the police training program to go beyond just teaching them the marksmanship bit of it, but how to de-escalate situations. Because a lot of the cases that has come in the media that involves police brutalizing civilians is got to do with lack of experience or perhaps training. Because in many situations, there are ways to de-escalate the situations. But I've seen videos when police officers are in heated exchange of words and remove their guns. To do what? Okay, so I think the training should involve a lot more of the democratic, policing bit.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but looking at the situation up north, it appears that there are increasing reports of clashes between the security agencies and civilians. And while there are also other inter-ethnic confrontations that are happening in that part of the country, is that of security concern to you from your readings and analysis into all that's happening there?
Well, to be honest, this is not peculiar to only the North. I mean, in recent times, we've had cases of police clashing with journalists. Just recently, a Connect FM reporter was brutalized because he took videos of some police officers at a chop bar. We also had another journalist brutalized, and in the end, they said he was tampering with evidence at the police station. We've had a catalog, a series of such brutalization, which is not just constricted to the North, but nationwide. But I think in the midst of all of this, it's important we establish a certain fact. There's so much anger out there. A lot of people seem to be disenchanted, they seem to be frustrated. And I was telling a friend recently, look, the level of anger in the system, okay, makes it even unsafe for you to drive a big vehicle, because they feel that, hey, you are part of the political device, political class that is taking them for a ride. So that level of anger is making situations that could be solved diplomatically escalate, get vicious, and people end up dying. Okay, so this issue is bigger than police chasing someone to shoot at. Okay, it has a lot to do with certain deep-seated socio-economic issues we are currently going through in that country that is pushing people into uncertainty, and that is keeping them very angry. And the least trigger, the least provocation, they jump on it and things, go haywire. So this is much deeper than it appears. So it's really worth looking into from the other perspective.
Adib Saani, I'm grateful for your time. Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. And still to come, chocolate sales boom this Valentine's Day. We'll hear from some traders and shoppers who are happy